Good morning, everybody. This is Jim with Compliance Professionals. Hey guys, I'm going to change things up a little bit today. We're going to talk about personal protective equipment and what happens when people become complacent. So let me talk to you about just the equipment itself here for a little while. Personal protective equipment, commonly known as PPE, is equipment that's worn to minimize exposure to hazards that cause serious workplace injuries. These injuries, and sometimes even illnesses too, it can cause, may result from contact with chemical, radiological, physical, electrical, mechanical, and all other kinds of workplace hazards that are out there. Personal protective equipment may include things like gloves, safety glasses, sometimes shoes, depending on where you work, earplugs or muffs, hard hats, sometimes a respirator, sometimes the clothing that you wear, maybe vests or full body suits for some jobs that you would run into. So what can be done to ensure proper use of personal protective equipment? I want to read question number 1 on the quiz right now. In order to protect your body, you should know the rules of personal protective equipment. The first rule of PPE safety is you must make the choice to use PPE. It's so important that you do that. I can tell you right now, fellas, of all the injuries I see, people become complacent and then sure enough, something goes wrong and they get hurt very badly. So please, you be safe and you make the choice. Okay, what else can we do to ensure proper use of personal protective equipment? The equipment should be safely designed and constructed and should be maintained in a clean and reliable fashion. It should fit comfortably, encouraging workers to use it. If the personal protective equipment doesn't fit properly, it can make the difference between being safely covered or dangerously exposed. So when engineering practices, when work practices, and administrative controls aren't feasible or don't provide sufficient protection, what do we rely on? Let me just grab this picture right here. Personal protective equipment, all different kinds of it, right? So workers should know the following. Number 1, when is it necessary? What is mandated? What should I be wearing? What kind of equipment is necessary? How to properly put it on? How to adjust it? Wear it and then take it off again? What the limitations of the equipment are? And then the proper care, the maintenance, the useful life, and the disposal of the equipment after that. If you can't eliminate all personal and physical hazards through engineering or administrative controls, personal protective equipment provides the last line of defense for you. However, data shows that most workers who suffer eye, head, foot injuries aren't wearing their PPE. These injuries can be lessened or avoided altogether with proper PPE. So let's talk about some of the common pieces of equipment that you might wear. Let's just start right up here at the top of our heads. Hard hats should be MSA approved hard hats. I've been told that most of you guys wear the brown ones. Some of you paint them white. That's fine. You know, in general, protective helmets, hard hats should do the following. They should resist penetration by objects. They should absorb the shock of a blow. They should be water resistant and slow burning and have clear instructions explaining how to properly adjust those hats when you put them on. Eye hazards are safety glasses that you wear when you're on the job. PPE ranges with safety eyeglasses, goggles, face shields, and sometimes visors, not very often. Non-removable lenses must be marked with the manufacturer's monogram and basic impact lens must be marked with a Z87 plus. That's your high impact lens. It's got to have it. It's going to have it right here on the arm of the safety glasses that you wear. If you look real carefully, make sure you've got a Z87 plus. Examples of potential eye or face injuries are going to include dust, dirt, metal, wood chips. They enter the eye, right, from activities, grinding, sawing, hammering, welding, all kinds of different uses, through all the use of power tools or even strong wind. I don't know if you've ever been around a place that's blowing stuff all around the place, and my gosh, you get something in your eye just at the wrong moment when you really needed your eyesight to see. It can protect you from chemical splashes, corrosive substances, all kinds of hot liquids or solvents or other hazardous type of solutions, objects that might swing into your face and hit you in the eye, like chains, tools, ropes, and then also radiant energy from welding, harmful rays from the use of lasers or other radiant light, right? Heat, glare, sparks, splash, flying particles, things like that. How about body hazards? Well, most of you wear cotton clothing, and you know that's mandated. That's what you should have on. If you were wearing a shirt like this and a spark hit something like this would catch on fire. It's some kind of polyester stuff. You want to wear cotton clothing. And then also maybe leather for welding. It just explained to me, like if you're welding up above and some of the sparks and things have fallen onto you, you should have on some leathers. Hands. How do you protect your hands? Cut resistant gloves. One of the best things that you can wear, or leathers for those who weld. Let me tell you, gentlemen, there's all kinds of gloves that are available today to protect against a wide variety of hazards. The nature of the hazard and the operation involved will affect the selection of the gloves that you wear. Hearing protection. You know, I wish I'd known about hearing protection when I was young and I was your age. See this thing here in my left ear? Kind of hard to see. That's a hearing aid because I was around loud explosions, and they always came from the left side where I was stationed and where I worked. So now I have to wear a hearing aid. I don't particularly like wearing it, but it's the only way I can really hear. Let's not let that happen to all of you. Determining the need to provide hearing protection for employees can be challenging, I'll tell you. You know, sometimes I see guys that forget to put their earplugs in. They walk onto a job and they just don't do it. You've got to be the one to make that decision right off the bat. Some of the factors that will determine wearing those earplugs, you know, the loudness of the noise is measured in decibels, the duration of the employee's exposure to the noise, whether employees move between work areas with different noises, whether noise is generated from one source or from another source, and some types of hearing protection might include just some single-use earplugs. They're made of foam, silicone, rubber, self-forming plugs, and when properly inserted, you know, those work just as well as molded earplugs. I like to wear the kind that have the little tiny strap on them, put them in my ears, because I found out that sometimes they pop out and fall on the ground. And then I'd have to go back and get another set because I didn't want to put dirty earplugs in my ears. So that's some of the PPE. Let me tell you, I want to read just a couple of stories to you. A worker at a shipyard was installing hatch covers on the top of deck openings and was applying silicone to rubber gaskets to keep them from drying out. A hatch lowered into position as he was applying the silicone. Since he was talking with a coworker, he wasn't paying attention to where the hatch was. The hatch was lowered and it crushed his hand. Not paying attention to what's going on in the job hurt his hand terribly bad. Another guy by the name of John Johnson worked as an iron worker at 22 years of old. After a short 2 years of experience, he had a life-changing accident. He was working on the third story of a building. His cousin, who was working in the same project, called him and said, "Hey, let's go to lunch." Johnson started making his way around the building. He temporarily unclipped his fall protection and he jumped down about 1.5 feet. His footing slipped on the wet and oily surface, and then he fell 33 feet and hit the ground. He broke 18 bones, collapsed a lung, broke his pelvic bone in 3 places, dislocated 3 fingers. Miraculously, he survived. Even more miraculously, he's walking again. Most people who fall from that height aren't so lucky. Don't become complacent. You'll forget to put on your PPE, you won't make the right decisions, and you could get hurt very badly. And I'm telling you, we never want that to happen to anybody. Okay, let's go to a quiz real quickly. I'm going to repeat number 1 question. Number 1, in order to protect your body, you should know the rules of personal protective equipment. And the first rule of safety is you've got to make the choice to use PPE when you walk on the job. That's the first thing that you should say to yourself. I want to walk home without getting hurt today. True or false? One of the major causes of injuries is taking shortcuts and not wearing your PPE. Obviously, that's true. True or false? I've looked at the label on a chemical we'll be using, and it's about as dangerous as WD-40, so no big deal. Actually, you need PPE. You could be severely injured. True or false? I'm working near some machinery and the decibel noise level is 110 decibels. Is that considered dangerous? Sounds at 85 decibels can lead to hearing loss. If you listen to them for more than 8 hours at a time, you should wear your earplugs. So guys, that's it for today. We've talked about PPE. The most important thing that you can do is make the decision when you walk on the job. You're going to be wearing your PPE that day to protect you. Thanks very much, everybody. Please be safe.